Hey there. Welcome to Discover the Divine You. My name is Kimberly Nicole. Right now I'm on a journey to figure out who the real Kimberly Nicole is, who I was divinely created to be. So I created this podcast in hopes others could benefit from what I'm learning and the different ways I'm connecting with a higher power. I created this space for honest conversations about healing, creativity, spiritual growth, and learning to reconnect with myself while living presently in my life. I'm a mom of 3. I have a job. I'm in 12-step recovery. Real life happens every day. So this is a space of no pressure, no expectations, no perfection, just progress. A journey towards finding peace, clarity, and connection to something bigger than ourselves, going from chaos to calm. So here we go. I'm so glad you're here to take this journey with me. Let's get creative. What happens when the armor comes off? Episode 1. Woo! Hello. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night. I don't know what time it is for you, but here we are, day 3 of our 90 and 90 and whatever episode of Discover the Divine You. I'm Kimberly Nicole. Welcome. I feel like I'm channeling my inner I Love Lucy with my hair and my earrings today. Let's see. So we have talked about powerlessness. We have talked about unmanageability. Today, we're gonna surrender. I dislike this one. This is not my favorite one. Surrendering. Like, it's fine to admit that you're powerless. It's fine to admit that your life has become unmanageable. But actually surrendering it all over to a power greater than myself? What? Absolutely not. So this is mainly step 3, surrender. And I have a hard time with this one. You would think step 4 would be the hard one for me, which we'll talk more about the steps as we go more in depth down the line. But step 3 is turning your will and your life over to a power greater than yourself, which is surrender. This one's rough for me because then I'm not the boss. Like I say often, I am a recovering higher power because I like to tell God what to do, right? I don't like to be told what to do. So how did I get through my steps if I couldn't do it, if I couldn't surrender? That is a very good question. One that I will hopefully answer in good detail here today. So let's get into surrender. I have a hard time because, like I said, I don't want to be told what to do and I want to be the higher power. I once had a boyfriend tell me not to cut my hair, and so I just pixied that shiz right off. Absolutely hated that haircut, but I would never tell him that. Because how dare you tell me what to do? I will never let any man tell me what to do. So surrendering to a power greater than myself back in the day meant surrendering to God, which when I first got into program, God was kind of scary to me. He was a big, not necessarily loud, but big and scary and vengeful. And I didn't love that. I did not love that. So I had to go through a couple of cycles of working the 12 steps before I was able to develop a relationship with a higher power that I trusted and I loved. I had to go through some kind of really hard things while trusting this higher power in order for me to really solidify my surrender. And I mean, there's some of you that are going to laugh at me, and that's okay. You're allowed. One of the really scary things that I went through was losing my grandfather, which isn't funny. And losing my sponsor. They both passed away, and then I lost my grandfather and my sponsor and my father-in-law back to back. And that was really hard for me because those were my people, my solid male figures. Well, my sponsor wasn't a male, but they were my people. And people I really looked up to and trusted and went to for guidance. And my grandpa and my father-in-law were really special humans, especially my grandfather. I could go to him with anything. And when my anxiety and depression were the worst, he was always there for me. So I kind of made him my higher power, because I could see him. He was there in person, and it was like, it made sense to my brain, right? So when he passed, I just felt really lost and really sad. But I had already found program, which was such a miracle and a blessing, because I found program in like the end of 2019, right before COVID. And I tell you, if I had to go through COVID without my program, I would not be here today. I would definitely have eaten myself to death or worse. And I just didn't want to do that to my kids. And God knew that I needed this program. So he guided me there before COVID hit, which was such a miracle. And I am still here with you today. Lucky you. So in saying that, I had to do a couple of experiments, creative writing projects, if you will. I wrote down all of the things that my higher power currently was. And then I took those things and then I wrote what I wanted in a higher power, or what I needed in a higher power. And what I needed was someone who loved me no matter what, who was funny, and who like got my jokes, and who let me yell at him even though he didn't deserve it, or they didn't deserve it. I also was kind of nervous about having a female or male higher power, because men and women were both a-holes to me throughout my life. So I didn't trust either of them. And I was one of those a-holes too. I wasn't nice to myself either. So I had some things to work out. So the idea of surrendering to a higher power that was mean and scary and vengeful and all of those kinds of things, like fire and brimstone type vibes, wasn't something I was willing to do. So once I figured out that I could, like, one of my sponsors said, "Oh, baby girl, if your higher power is like that, you just need to go get yourself a new higher power." And I thought that was blasphemy, because I grew up knowing that there's one God and this and that, and things were very black and white. And even if that were all true, which I believe that God is understood differently by each of us. Whether there's 10 gods or one God, we all understand our higher powers differently. And so that really helped open my eyes to different possibilities. So I wrote out what my sponsor at the time called a want ad for a higher power. Like in the personals back in the day, where you would write like, "Hey, I'm looking for someone who likes long walks on the beach," and blah, blah, blah. And then you put it in the newspaper, and then someone calls you on a phone that has a cord that plugs into the wall. Many of you probably don't even know that that was even a thing at one point in time. I had a Kermit the Frog phone, and it was so cool. I wonder if I could get that again. See my squirrel ADHD brain? Where are we going? Back on track. Okay, higher power. So I developed a new higher power. I developed a relationship with my higher power. I got to know my higher power. I asked my higher power questions. What? And they answered me. So it was really, really cool. Prayer changes things. So I started meditating, which was very short-lived because I was scared to meditate for long periods of time. It was like 30 seconds or less, because if I let my brain sit quietly for too long, then it would just start talking at me and it would spiral into darkness. Now I could sit for hours by myself, with my higher power. And it's just so calming and relaxing and rejuvenating, and I feel amazing. But it took me a minute to get there. So if you're in that place where you don't want to sit quietly for any kind of second, that's okay. Go on a walk. I connect with my higher power walking. I connect with my higher power at the beach, putting my feet in the sand. I don't go in that water. Okay, I don't know what's in the bottom or around there. I don't want to get sucked in, and I'm not a good swimmer. But I love being near the water and having my feet in the water and in the sand, and when I'm in nature in general, when I'm holding and snuggling my kids, When I'm reading, when I'm, I hear my higher power in a lot of different ways. When I'm creating is one of my favorites. I hear and feel, and I can sometimes even see in my art, my higher power's presence. So it takes a little while to get there, and that's okay. Like, just love yourself where you're at right now. Talk to yourself like you would talk to your best friend in the entire world, or your dog, or your kid. Sometimes I talk to my dog and my kids way better than I talk to myself and my higher power. But my higher power loves me anyway I am. And that is such a blessing and a miracle for me to know now today. So I very gladly surrender whatever comes my way over to my higher power. I even have what's called a God box, or a God can, if you will, that I write down things that are really hard for me in that moment, and I date it, and I write the issue, and I fold it up, and I put it in my God box, and I let God take care of it. And I love that, because then I can let it go, get it out of my brain, and I surrender it over to a power greater than myself. I actually decorated my God box, and I love it. It's super cute. Maybe try that this day. I was going to say this week, but we're going to see each other tomorrow. So maybe try that today. Maybe get an old can or an old shoebox or anything you want and just decorate it cute. Yeah, do something creative today. I suggest lovingly to create a God box or a God can. And whenever something's bugging you that you feel so powerless or is unmanageable in your life, write it down, surrender it over to higher power, stick it in there. Even if you don't know who your higher power is yet, it does not matter. They love you and they see you. So with that, I will finish for today, and you can go create your amazing God box. Oh my gosh, and I would absolutely love it if you would share pictures of your God boxes with me. If you create a God box, I would love to see it. You can DM me or email me or whatever you want to do, just at Real Kimberly Nicole. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Hey, thanks so much for being here today. You're my favorite. I'm so glad you came. I know life is busy, so I really do appreciate the time you're taking to do some self-care and hang out with me for a little bit. If something that we talked about today resonated with you and you want to dig a little deeper, I put together a 5-minute creative reset guide called Chaos to Calm that you can access in the show's description. And I would be so grateful if you'd subscribe and share this podcast with someone out there that you think could benefit from what we're creating here together. Also, remember, I am just sharing my experience, strength, and hope as I understand it here. So if bigger emotions come up, please take care of yourself and reach out to a licensed professional or someone that you trust for support. You are not alone in this. So until we create together again, please be kind to yourself and do something creative because you deserve it.